Imagine a world where treating breast cancer becomes, well, truly personalized. What if, instead of these broad categories, we could actually pinpoint your individual risk and then use that information to tailor therapy accordingly? Sounds pretty futuristic, right?
It does, a bit like science fiction. But that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Yeah, get ready because this deep dive is taking us straight to the cutting edge. Research that's making this vision a reality.
It really is a fascinating time to be in this field.
We're diving into a study. It uses artificial intelligence, or AI for short, to predict breast cancer recurrence, and the accuracy is, well, it's really turning heads.
Oh, absolutely. It's a game changer.
The paper itself is called Multimodal AI for Comprehensive Breast Cancer Prognostication.
Catchy title, right?
And let me tell you, it is absolutely packed with data. But don't worry, we've sifted through it all to bring you the most fascinating and relevant nuggets.
That's right. We've done the heavy lifting for you.
So whether you're personally impacted by breast cancer, curious about the latest medical advancements, or just a knowledge enthusiast like myself, this deep dive is going to give you a deeper understanding of AI's potential.
I think everyone listening is going to learn something today.
Okay, so before we get to the AI, can you remind us how doctors currently determine the best treatment plan for breast cancer?
Sure. So traditionally, they've relied on a combination of factors like tumor size, whether it has spread to the lymph nodes, and what we call the status of hormone receptors.
Like estrogen.
Exactly. Estrogen, progesterone, HER2, things like that. And it's almost like piecing together a puzzle.
So each patient's cancer has its own kind of unique fingerprint.
That's a great way to put it. And then for certain types of breast cancer, those that are hormone receptor positive, doctors might also use genomic tests.
Like Oncotype DX?
Exactly, Oncotype DX. And this involves analyzing the activity of specific genes in the tumor cells.
So it gives us more clues.
Right, but these tests, while valuable, they do have limitations.
Okay, so they're not perfect.
No test is perfect. For one, genomic tests are mainly used for hormone receptor positive cancers. They're not always a good fit for other types. And even then, the accuracy isn't perfect. There's always room for improvement. And that's where AI comes in.
That's where AI steps onto the scene, the hero of our story. Tell us a little bit about how this AI-powered test actually works.
So this test is powered by an AI model. It's called Kestrel.
Kestrel.
And Kestrel is what we call a vision transformer. You can think of it like, imagine teaching a computer to tell the difference between different dog breeds by showing it millions of pictures.
So you're training this superpowered image recognition system.
Exactly. And eventually it learns to distinguish really subtle features, things that even experienced breeders might overlook. So that's what Kestrel does with biopsy images. It learns to recognize patterns that could indicate a higher risk of the cancer coming back.
Wow, so it's looking at these images and picking up on details that might be invisible to the human eye.
You got it. But what's even more impressive is it doesn't stop at just the images. It takes those insights from the image analysis and combines them with the patient's clinical data, their age, tumor stage, receptor status, the whole picture, and then it crunches all that information to give you a personalized risk score.
It's not just about seeing the picture, but also understanding the story behind it.
Exactly. That's a great way to think about it. And this combination is really what makes this approach so powerful.
Fascinating. Okay. Before we get to the results of the study, how big was this research project?
It was massive. We're talking over 8,000 patients.
Yeah.
Across 15 different cohorts and 7 countries.
Wow. So global reach, very diverse patient population.
Absolutely.
Okay, I am officially on the edge of my seat. Let's talk results. How good was this AI at actually predicting breast cancer recurrence?
So the AI test achieved what's called a C-index of 0.71 for predicting something called disease-free interval, or DFI.
DFI.
Which is basically how long a patient remains cancer-free after treatment.
Okay, but for those of us who don't speak statisticians, what does that C-index number really tell us?
Think of it like this. It's like a batting average in baseball.
Okay.
A higher C-index means the test is better at predicting which patients are at higher risk. Similar to a batter with a higher average, more likely to get a hit. A C-index of 1 would be a perfect prediction, and 0.5 is no better than chance. So 0.71 is pretty impressive.
Okay, so it's not just flipping a coin. It's making predictions with a solid degree of accuracy. Now, how did it stack up against Oncotype DX that we talked about earlier?
This is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
In a head-to-head comparison, the AI test actually did better than Oncotype DX at predicting recurrence for patients with hormone receptor-positive breast cancer.
Wait, hold on. You're saying this new AI test was more accurate than the existing, go-to method.
That's right. And remember, this was with a very diverse group of patients, which makes the results even more compelling.
Okay, that is huge. This could be a real turning point
Right.
in how we think about and treat breast cancer. So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about what this actually means for patients in the real world.
Okay.
So imagine a scenario where this AI test becomes widely available.
Right.
It could allow for truly personalized treatment plans.
Absolutely.
We might be able to pinpoint which patients actually need chemo and which could safely avoid it.
And spare them from those really difficult side effects.
That would be incredible. So no more one-size-fits-all.
Right. It's tailored to you.
You mentioned that this test might be particularly helpful for certain groups of patients.
Yes, the research suggests it could be particularly valuable for premenopausal patients and Black patients,
Okay.
where existing genomic tests sometimes aren't as accurate.
So this test could help address some existing disparities in healthcare.
Absolutely.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah, and there's another potential advantage to this test. Remember, it relies on analyzing those digital images of the biopsies, specifically those stained with hematoxylin and eosin, or what we call H&E stains.
Okay.
So analyzing these readily available HEE stained slides could make this test much more affordable and easier to implement.
So not only potentially more accurate, but it could also be more accessible. Win-win.
It seems like it.
But as with any groundbreaking research, I'm guessing there are some caveats. Next steps for the researchers, what are they focusing on now?
Well, it's important to remember this particular study was retrospective, meaning they looked back at existing patient records. So to really confirm the AI test's predictive power, we need what are called prospective clinical trials, where the test is actually used to guide treatment decisions.
In real time.
Exactly.
So more research is needed to see how this all plays out in a real clinical setting.
That's always the case with these new discoveries.
Are there any specific areas where they're hoping to gather more evidence?
They're particularly interested in validating the test's ability to not just predict if the cancer might return, but also actually guide doctors towards the most effective treatment approach.
So imagine a world where the test can say, okay, this is your risk, and this is the specific therapy that will be most effective for you.
That's the goal.
It's really remarkable. We're on the verge of a revolution in breast cancer care.
It really feels that way.
But for today, we've got to take a quick pause. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll be back with more insights from this groundbreaking study in just a moment.
And we're back. Before the break, we were talking about how this AI tool analyzes biopsy images, combines that with the patient's data to create a more accurate picture of their risk. But it's not just about breast cancer. This technology has the potential to change the entire healthcare landscape.
Well, yeah, let's zoom out and think big picture for a moment. You said it's not just about breast cancer, so where else might this AI approach be useful in healthcare?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about all the data that's routinely collected in healthcare. Pathology slides, medical scans, genetic information, electronic health records. It's a treasure trove of insights just waiting to be unlocked.
Okay, so it's like we've got this massive library of health information, but we need a way to make sense of it all.
Exactly, and AI is incredibly good at that. Sifting through these vast amounts of data, spotting patterns and connections, that would take humans years, even decades, to uncover.
So AI could be the key to unlocking these secrets that are hidden within all that data.
It very well could be.
That's pretty mind-blowing. But, with all this talk about AI and healthcare, one question that keeps popping into my head is, what about the human element? Are doctors going to become obsolete?
That's a question I get a lot, and it's an important one. In my view, AI won't replace doctors. It'll become a powerful tool that enhances their capabilities.
So like a super smart assistant that can help doctors make better decisions.
That's a great analogy. Imagine AI handling the time-consuming tasks, analyzing data, flagging potential issues, and that frees up the doctors to spend time with their patients, listening to their concerns, providing that personalized care.
So it's not about replacing human interaction. It's about making that interaction more meaningful.
Exactly.
I like that. And speaking of personalized care, how might this AI technology impact treatment decisions beyond just predicting the risk of recurrence?
Well, if this test can identify these subtle patterns in a biopsy image that suggest a higher risk of recurrence, it might also be able to identify patterns that tell us how well a patient will respond to a certain treatment.
Okay, so the AI could help doctors choose the most effective treatment
Potentially, yes.
for each individual patient. That's truly personalized medicine.
It is.
But I have to ask, what about the potential for mistakes? No test is perfect.
Right, you're absolutely right. Even with a high C index, there will always be a chance of false positives or false negatives. So it's crucial that AI is used as a tool to inform those medical decisions, not to replace a doctor's judgment and experience.
It's about collaboration,
Absolutely.
not replacement. And I imagine that clear communication between doctors and patients is going to be even more important
Oh, for sure.
as we move toward this AI-driven future.
Patients need to understand what the AI test results mean, what the limitations are, and what their options are. It's about empowering patients to participate in their own care.
I like that, shared decision-making.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about this AI technology, personalizing treatment plans, potentially avoiding unnecessary procedures like chemo, improving communication.
Well, what about the bigger picture? What other exciting applications are on the horizon for AI in healthcare?
Well, healthcare is generating massive amounts of data, and we're seeing AI being used in everything: drug discovery, personalized medicine, even robotic surgery.
Robotic surgery, that sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie. I know, right? But it's becoming increasingly real. Think of it this way. These AI-powered robots can assist surgeons with incredibly delicate procedures, improving precision and minimizing how invasive they are.
Wow, so we've got AI predicting cancer, developing new drugs, and even performing surgery.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really does feel like a whole new world. But amidst all this technological advancement, we can't forget about the human side of things. How do you think AI will impact the doctor-patient relationship in the long run?
That's a great question. Ideally, AI should enhance that relationship, not diminish it. By taking on some of the more technical aspects of medicine, AI can free up doctors to focus on those aspects of care that require empathy and compassion.
So instead of being bogged down with data analysis, they could spend more time listening to their patients and providing emotional support.
Exactly.
It's about using AI to make healthcare more efficient and effective, but always remembering that human connection lies at the heart of it all.
I couldn't agree more.
Well said. And speaking of the future of medicine, what does this rise of AI mean for how doctors are trained?
Medical schools are already incorporating AI into their curricula,
Really?
and not just in terms of learning how to use the technology, but also understanding how AI is changing the nature of medical practice.
So future doctors will need a whole new set of skills to navigate this AI-powered world.
Absolutely. They'll need to be comfortable with the technology, able to critically evaluate the AI's recommendations, and understand the ethical considerations that come with using AI in healthcare.
It sounds like we're witnessing the birth of a whole new era in medicine.
I think so.
But I imagine there will be challenges along the way as well. Integrating any new technology into a complex system like healthcare is never easy.
That's true. There will be hurdles to overcome. Regulatory issues, data privacy concerns, the need for rigorous testing and validation. But with careful planning, open communication, and a commitment to responsible development, I believe AI has the potential to truly revolutionize healthcare for the better.
A revolution built on a foundation of responsibility. I like the sound of that. And speaking of revolutionizing healthcare, you mentioned earlier that AI could help us unlock these secrets hidden within all the medical data that we're collecting. What kind of discoveries do you think are waiting to be unearthed?
One area that's particularly exciting is the search for new biomarkers. These are measurable indicators that can give us information about a disease, its progression, its response to treatment, things like that.
So, like clues hidden within the data, that can give us a better understanding of how to diagnose and treat diseases.
Exactly. And AI is incredibly good at sifting through huge amounts of data to identify those subtle patterns and connections that we might otherwise miss.
It's like having a superpowered detective on the case.
That's a great way to put it.
What kind of biomarkers are researchers hoping to find?
Well, in the case of cancer, they're looking for biomarkers that can predict which patients are most likely to respond to certain therapies, or those who are at higher risk of recurrence even after treatment.
So even more personalized medicine, going beyond those broad categories to pinpoint the most effective approach for each individual.
Exactly.
And we're just scratching the surface.
We are.
Imagine using AI to identify biomarkers for early disease detection, or to predict which lifestyle changes will be most effective,
Now you're thinking big.
preventing diseases before they even start.
That's the ultimate goal.
That's the dream.
It is.
But we've got to take another quick break. Don't worry, we'll be back in a moment to wrap up our deep dive into this fascinating world of AI and healthcare. And we're back. Before the break, we were talking about biomarkers, these hidden clues that can tell us more about a disease and how to treat it. It's like AI is giving us this whole new language to understand the human body.
It really is. AI can analyze data from so many different sources.
Yeah.
Medical images, genetics, clinical records, even lifestyle factors. And it can connect the dots in ways that we humans just can't.
So instead of looking at each piece of information in isolation, AI can see the bigger picture and find patterns that we would have totally missed.
Exactly. Like, imagine if AI could identify, subgroups of patients who respond differently to the same medication based on their genetic profile or even their gut microbiome.
So more targeted therapies with fewer side effects.
Exactly.
Wow, we're talking truly personalized medicine,
Yeah.
tailored to each individual's unique makeup. And you mentioned earlier that AI could also help us understand the root causes of diseases.
That's right. We're already seeing it being used to analyze large data sets of genetic information, looking for genes that might be linked to certain diseases.
So AI could potentially uncover the genetic underpinnings of diseases that have mystified scientists for years.
It's possible.
That's incredible.
And it's not just genetics. AI can also analyze environmental factors, lifestyle choices, even social determinants of health, to give us a more complete picture.
To peeling back the layers of an onion.
Yeah, revealing all those complex factors that influence our health.
And with this deeper understanding, we can start developing more effective prevention strategies. Imagine being able to identify someone who's at high risk for developing a particular disease.
Yeah.
And intervening early.
With lifestyle changes or targeted therapies.
Preventing diseases before they even take root.
That's true.
That's a game changer.
It is.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that with any powerful technology, there are always things to consider. We need to make sure that AI is used responsibly and ethically in healthcare.
I completely agree. We need to be mindful of data privacy, make sure algorithms are developed fairly without bias, and just be vigilant about the potential for misuse. We have a responsibility to guide the development of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
That's a good point. It's a powerful tool. So to sum it all up, it feels like we're at the dawn of a new era in healthcare. One where AI could fundamentally change how we diagnose, treat, and even prevent diseases.
I think so.
But it's up to us to ensure that it's used wisely, ethically, always keeping the patient at the center.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time, and I'm incredibly optimistic about the potential for AI to really make a difference in people's lives.
I am too.
But we have to proceed thoughtfully and responsibly, collaborating across disciplines, and just engaging in that open dialogue about the ethical implications.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. But for our listeners who are eager to learn more, I encourage you to delve deeper into this world. A simple internet search for AI in healthcare can be a great starting point.
Yeah, there's a whole universe of information out there.
There is. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and never stop learning.
Well said.
That's the perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the exciting world of AI in healthcare. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring